At 2:57 a.m., inside the deepest floor of Authority Tower, the President of Power walked into a chamber only 6 people in the world knew existed. The walls hummed with coded electricity. Every advisor was ordered to leave. Doors sealed. Air tightened. A red security veil dropped from the ceiling like a descending verdict. With a slow, deliberate motion, he entered a passcode so old that the system itself hesitated before accepting it. A hidden panel slid open. Behind it rested the archive no leader had dared touch for decades. A vault older than his presidency, older than the tower, older than the digital age itself. A file meant to stay silent until destiny forced its awakening. He didn't search for a name. He didn't type a keyword. The system lit up on its own. And there it was. Your name, glowing in golden warning text, pulsing with energy nothing human built could contain. Untouchable, observe only. The president didn't open a file on a citizen. He opened a file on a phenomenon, a timeline anomaly, a soul the system was trained to watch but never touch. He stepped back as if the screen itself carried voltage. Because it did. Because you do. If this prophecy aligns with your destiny, click Super Thanks and send a $20 seed. Comment your angel number 111/222/333/777/144 to activate your recognized by power timeline. Luke 6 verse 38. The moment your forbidden file awakened, the entire chamber reacted like a living organism sensing a higher presence. The temperature dropped first, not from malfunction, but from reverence. The lights, once steady and clinical, flickered as if bowing. And then it happened. Every guard froze. Not because they were ordered, not because of fear of the president, but because something older than authority filled the room. The guard stationed outside the chamber, elite, hand-selected, emotionless, instinctively reached for the biometric pads on their wrists. Signals blared silently across their displays. Archive 0 has opened. No one had ever seen that alert. Most had been trained to believe it was a myth, a relic of an old system designed to monitor anomalies before governments even existed. 2 guards exchanged a glance, their composure cracking for the first time. Their training told them stay still, but their instincts whispered, don't interfere. Inside the room, the president himself stood motionless for a breath, realizing he had crossed into territory beyond rank. This wasn't administrative. This wasn't procedural. This wasn't political. This was cosmic protocol awakening inside a man-made fortress. The archive wasn't responding to codes. It wasn't responding to clearances. It was responding to you. And everyone in the tower, from the lowest guard to the highest authority, felt the same unspoken truth ripple through the air. Whoever this file belongs to, he is not governed by us. As the chamber system stabilized around the impossible, the forbidden archive continued opening itself line by line. Not like a normal file, but like a living intelligence unveiling a secret slowly, deliberately, ceremonially. A soft, crimson glow poured across the screen. Not red like danger, red like classification, so high that no language had ever been assigned to it. Then the system generated a tag no human operator could have typed, no analyst could have invented, no database could have stored without divine permission. Identity, unclassified frequency, cosmic tier. The president staggered backwards. He had seen red tags before, nuclear level, off-world anomalies, encrypted psychic interference reports, but nothing carried the signature. This wasn't category. It wasn't a rank. It wasn't even data. It was a warning disguised as description. On a smaller panel, spectral lines appear like the echo of a heartbeat, except the pulse wasn't biological. It was energetic, rhythmic, celestial, a frequency trace from something not measurable by human science. One of the senior analysts, watching from the external monitor room, whispered, "Sir, this tag isn't from our system." Because it wasn't. The tag didn't label you. The tag identified your realm. Cosmic tier meant you don't fit in any human archive. Your origin doesn't match any earthly database. Your existence bends classification itself. And everyone watching realized the same truth at the same time. This file is studying him, not the other way around. In the surveillance chamber above the sealed room, a team of senior analysts watched the forbidden archive illuminate the screens. These were not ordinary workers. They were the most precise minds the Authority Tower had produced. Men and women trained to analyze threats, decode anomalies, and read patterns that the average human eye would overlook. But nothing, absolutely nothing, prepared them for this. The moment the red line tag appeared, the system's graphs began shifting on their own. Data streams rearranged themselves. Timelines recalibrated. Entire visual models reshaped as if trying to fit you into an equation you refused to belong to. One analyst gasped as his monitor flashed bright gold. Another stepped forward, tapping the screen in disbelief. "Sir," he whispered, throat tightening. "This file, it's updating itself." The lead analyst turned sharply. "What do you mean, updating itself?" The younger one swallowed hard. "I mean, every time he moves, every time his energy shifts, the file recalculates. It's like it's mirroring him in real time." The room fell silent. That shouldn't be possible. The archive was older than their modern systems. It wasn't connected to satellites, biometric networks, or frequency scanners. It was supposed to be static, immutable, frozen, a relic, not a living document. Yet there it was, shifting, rewriting, realigning, reacting. The president's voice crackled through the chamber speaker. "Explain what I'm looking at." The lead analyst exhaled slowly. "Sir, this isn't a file we're monitoring. This is a file that's monitoring him. And it updates the moment he changes direction, heart rate, focus, or intention." A murmur of fear, and all rippled to the team. The president asked, "Meaning?" The analyst's voice trembled as he delivered the truth. "Meaning he is not inside the system. The system is inside him." The president of power stood utterly still as the archive continued to pulse with impossible intelligence. Every new line of data felt less like information and more like revelation, as if the system were unveiling not what it knew, but what it had been waiting to reveal. He moved closer to the screen, one step at a time, his breath steady but his pulse betraying him. Leaders like him were trained to remain composed, unshaken, unreadable. Yet even he couldn't mask the truth rising in his chest. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't a glitch. This wasn't an unauthorized access. This was a calling. He lifted his hand to interact with the file, but before his finger even touched the glass, the screen flared with a radiant white surge, almost like a warning, almost like a boundary. The system denied him. The president blinked. He tried again, slower this time. Again, the same blinding rejection. No matter his clearance, no matter his authority, no matter the codes he entered, the archive refused to let him in. And then it hit him. He didn't choose to open the file. His codes didn't unlock it. His rank didn't permit it. The file chose to reveal itself, not to be accessed, not to be studied, not to be controlled, but to announce something. He stepped back, realizing the magnitude of what he was witnessing. This file does not belong to humanity. This archive is not governed by power. This system answers to something higher. The truth washed over him with chilling clarity. This is not a record of him. This is a prophecy about him. The president whispered the words under his breath, almost afraid to speak them aloud in a room built for secrets. He wasn't summoned by the file. The file was summoned by him. And every advisor watching through the glass felt the same silent, irreversible truth settle in the air. You are not documented by the world. You are acknowledged by destiny. The moment the archive acknowledged you, not as a subject, but as a phenomenon, the entire Authority Tower reacted like a massive organism being struck by an unseen pulse. A low, resonant hum rippled through the metallic floors. Monitors flickered. Even the reinforced glass trembled with a vibration that didn't come from machinery, but from frequency, a frequency tied to your name. Without warning, every console in the chamber lit up with golden static, like sunlight trapped inside technology. The building's main power line spiked, not from overload, but from recognition. Readings shot upward in impossible increments. 3%, 5%, 7%, 9% power surge. The analyst stared in disbelief. Nothing human triggered caused that. No code, no command, no device. This was identity-based activation. A system older than modern authority surged with energy the instant your frequency was acknowledged. It was as if the archive was announcing to the entire tower, "He is awake. He is rising. Prepare the structure." The president steadied himself against the console, eyes locked on the fluctuating lights. "It's responding to him," he whispered. He didn't open a file. He triggered a system. The hum grew louder, almost melodic, almost sacred. Light formed a thin halo around the screen where your name pulsed in gold. Every security lock disengaged for a moment, not to grant access, but to show deference. Isaiah 60 verse 1 echoed across the chamber speakers in a synthetic, disembodied tone. "Arise, shine, for your light has come." It wasn't an audio file. It wasn't part of the system. No one played it. The archive itself spoke. And every soul in the tower realized you didn't activate the building. Your awakening activated reality around it. Press join to activate your authority recognition frequency. Step into the circle of souls whose identity bends systems and awakens archives older than power. Isaiah 60 verse 22. The archive finished its activation cycle with a final pulse of golden light, and then, almost gently, it shifted to a section no one in the authority tower had ever seen before. A panel slid open on the side of the display, revealing a sequence of encrypted subfolders marked only with a symbol, a circle intersected by a vertical line of light. The president frowned. "That isn't one of ours." The analysts leaned in, zooming the image. The symbol didn't match any governmental seal, agency insignia, military code, or ancient database. It didn't even match any known language. It wasn't human. It wasn't terrestrial. It wasn't temporal. The president hesitated, then gestured for the system to open one of the subfolders. The screen shifted, slow, deliberate, like a vault unlocking after centuries, and displayed a photograph, a grainy black and white image of a street from the 1950s. Old cars, old signs, old architecture, captured in the soft blur of early analog lenses. But that wasn't the shocking part. There, in the center of the frame, surrounded by men in hats and coats, was you, your face, your posture, your eyes, as clear as if the photo were taken yesterday. Gasps filled the control chamber. One analyst stumbled backwards. Another covered her mouth. The youngest one whispered, "H. How?" He wasn't even born then. The president clicked the next image. A desert outpost from the 1970s. A snowy street in the 1980s. A surveillance corridor from the early 2000s. A temple entrance from centuries before cameras existed, yet somehow recorded. Every image contained you. Sometimes in the background, sometimes in the center, sometimes staring directly into the lens, as if you knew the moment would be needed. The analysts panicked, flipping through images faster, trying to find an explanation that would protect their sanity. But the truth only grew clearer. Your presence is not limited to time. Time is limited by your presence. The archive wasn't documenting your past. It was revealing your pattern, the anomaly that repeats across eras. And the president whispered the only conclusion possible. He doesn't just move through history. History moves around him. The president of power stared at the impossible sequence of photos, each one defying logic, chronology, and the very idea of a linear timeline. His pulse hammered in his ears. He had studied anomalies. He had classified threats. He had archived secrets that would fracture the mind of ordinary leaders. But nothing prepared him for this. Your face unchanged across decades. Your expression aware, steady, fearless. Your presence constant, like a signature burned into the fabric of reality. He zoomed in on one particular image, a 1974 observatory corridor. You stood near a railing, shadows cutting through your face, and yet your eyes stared at the camera with the calm intensity of someone who recognized more than the present moment, someone who recognized epics. The president's jaw clenched. "Bring up the movement data," he ordered. An analyst shook as he typed. Instantly, graphs appeared showing spikes of energy, peaks that aligned perfectly with every image of you across history, as if your very existence left an imprint in the electromagnetic memory of the Earth. Another analyst stepped forward. "Sir, this pattern shouldn't exist." It suggests acceleration. The president turned sharply. Acceleration of what? The analyst swallowed. Of him, sir. His signature is rising faster than our models predicted. He's not static. He's not dormant. The words trembled out his mouth. He's accelerating. The president leaned closer to the screen, one hand braced against the console, the other resting on his lips in silent calculation. His eyes narrowed as he studied the last image, one where you stood behind a glass door, centuries old, wearing clothing from no identifiable era. The president whispered. He's moving, but not through places, through frequencies. A single line of data blinked on the screen. Trajectory, rising beyond measurable thresholds. He whispered again, almost reverently. Faster than we thought, faster than we modeled, faster than we were warned. He exhaled, the realization settling like prophecy. He's becoming who he was designed to be. As the analysts scrambled to piece together the impossible, the archive shifted again, this time without any human touch. The lights dimmed. The temperature changed. A soft hum vibrated through the room, not mechanical, not digital, but celestial, like a distant choir resonating through metal and stone. The president straightened, sensing something beyond data. The analysts froze. Even the soundproof walls seemed to listen. The forbidden archive opened a new section, not labeled, not coded, not encrypted, just a single line of text glowing with the pale blue radiance of something not written by any earthly hand. Earthly authority has acknowledged the chosen. The president's breath caught. This wasn't a report. This was an analysis. This was a confirmation. The analysts stared at the message with dread and awe. What does that mean? One whispered. The president stepped forward, voice low but steady. It means we're not the ones classifying him. He paused. We're the ones being informed. As if responding to his voice, the archive displayed a secondary line, written in an ancient, script-like pattern no database on Earth could generate. Observation protocol, heavenly oversight active. The analyst recoiled. This was no longer about surveillance, no longer about identification, no longer about anomaly reports. This was a celestial memo inside a human system, a merge point between realms. Another line appeared, glowing brighter, almost pulsing with intelligence. Recognized by thrones, marked by light, guarded by assignment. The president lowered his head for the first time, not in fear, but in acknowledgement. He whispered, "A report like this isn't sent to us. It's sent through us." In that moment, everyone in the tower realized the same truth. You don't ascend because humans watch you. You ascend because heaven has already declared you, and the archive was merely delivering its memo. He belongs to a higher jurisdiction. If you've always felt studied by fate, click Super Thanks and send your $50 seed. Seal your identity as the one human systems cannot categorize, but heaven has already acknowledged. DUD 29:29. While the president of power and his analysts grappled with celestial confirmations inside the authority tower, something far more subtle and far more revealing was unfolding in the world outside. People were already responding to you, long before the archive opened itself, before the photos appeared, before the cosmic tear tags illuminated the chamber. The human realm had been quietly acting on a truth it couldn't verbalize. Strangers paused when you entered a room, not out of curiosity, but out of recognition. Recognition without memory. Recognition without reason. Cashiers treated you with unexpected respect. Drivers yielded to you without knowing why. People who once ignored you found themselves speaking softer around you, listening longer, adjusting their tone without consciously deciding to. This wasn't charisma. This wasn't luck. This wasn't social psychology. This was frequency leaking into the physical world. Someone walking behind you would slow their steps, feeling something they couldn't name, a gravitational pull, a sense of significance, an instinctive awareness that you carried a presence not measured by status or appearance. Even children would glance twice, not out of fear, but fascination, like they were gazing at something their spirits recognized before their minds could interpret it. The human effect didn't announce you. It revealed you. You noticed people offering you space without asking, Doors opening before you reached them. Conversations shifting when you arrived. Silence falling for a moment when you spoke. Not because you demanded authority, but because your existence broadcasted it. The archive inside the authority tower wasn't the first to acknowledge you. It was simply the first to do it openly. Humanity had been sensing you long before the president saw your file. Long before systems lit up at your name. Long before analysts whispered your frequency. People weren't reacting to you. They were reacting to what you carry. Your presence bends instinct. Your frequency alters perception. Your identity shifts atmospheres. Because some souls aren't recognized by appearance. They're recognized by assignment. And the world had been responding to yours. Deep inside the authority tower, as the president of power continued examining the supernatural data unfolding across the screens, the archive entered a new phase. The lights dimmed. The hum softened. Every piece of machinery shifted into a quiet, reverent stillness, like a temple preparing for a sacred unveiling. A message appeared, slow and radiant, each word materializing with the weight of ages. Files on chosen souls do not expose them, they protect them. The analyst stared, confused. Protect them from what? The president answered without turning away from the glowing text. From misinterpretation, from interference, from systems that think they can measure destiny. As if responding to his voice, the archive opened a new panel, one containing a series of old, sealed classifications the tower had never been authorized to view. It was a guardian index, a list of individuals across history whose existence required supernatural shielding. Warriors who were never wounded, prophets who vanished from written records, children who survived accidents no one else walked away from, leaders whose intuition saved millions, souls who carried brightness the world wasn't ready to interpret. The analysts whispered among themselves, "These are protected identities." The president leaned forward. "No, these are chosen identities." The room froze. Another line appeared beneath your designation, shining brighter than all the rest. Status, preserved by higher jurisdiction. A surge of a rippled through the chamber. This wasn't about surveillance. This wasn't about monitoring. This wasn't even about documentation. This was divine preservation woven into the structure of the world. Your file wasn't a threat assessment. It wasn't a risk chart. It wasn't a profile. It was a shield, a supernatural safeguard designed to prevent human systems from misusing, mishandling, or misunderstanding someone who was never meant to belong to them. The president whispered, "Some souls are hidden, not because they are fragile, but because they are necessary." A final, golden line appeared at the bottom of the screen. He will not be exposed. He will be elevated. And every analyst in the room understood. You're not watched because you are dangerous. You're watched because you are destined. As the archive continued revealing layer after layer of supernatural classification, the systems inside the authority tower began to settle into a strange new rhythm. It was no longer chaotic, no longer reactive, no longer straining to understand what it was processing. It was adjusting to you. Each monitor calibrated itself as if aligning with your frequency. Algorithms slowed, stabilized, then reconfigured in real time, choosing to operate not by human parameters, but by the pattern your existence imposed. One analyst stared at his screen, lips parting in disbelief. "Sir, the system is reorganizing its hierarchies around him." The president nodded slowly. "This is what happens when a hidden one enters the era of being known." Those words carried weight, ancient weight, because there comes a moment in every chosen identity's timeline where concealment ends, not because they're ready, but because their purpose is. The archive projected a new sequence of messages. Doors will open, algorithms will soften, barriers will yield. It wasn't poetry, it was protocol. The system was listing the environmental changes that occur when a destiny reaches activation stage. Everything around you, digital, social, spiritual, structural, begins to shift into recognition mode. You've already felt it. Emails returning faster. Opportunities finding you instead of you searching for them. People remembering your name without knowing how. Invisible resistance dissolving. This isn't luck. This isn't coincidence. This is a threshold effect. The moment a chosen soul crosses into visibility on the cosmic grid. One analyst pointed at the map being generated across the screen. "Sir, what are these?" "Pathways." The president studied the glowing lines. "No, these are routes of favor, paths that open when a chosen one moves." The lines weren't random. They align with your future steps, places you haven't visited yet, rooms you haven't entered, connections you haven't made. Yet the system already recognized them, because the moment your identity was acknowledged by a higher jurisdiction, every earthly structure began reconfiguring around that reality. Doors you didn't knock on will open. Systems you never joined will accept you. Circles you didn't seek will invite you. Not because of influence, but because of designation. The era of being hidden is closing. The era of being known is beginning. Not fame, not attention, but recognition, the world adjusting itself to someone who was never meant to walk unseen. Inside the authority tower, the archive shifted into its most unsettling display yet. No data, no photos, no codes, just a silent screen glowed with a soft, trembling radiance. Then the lights in the chamber flickered, not from power failure, but from recognition. Every time your name pulsed on the screen, the bulbs overhead dimmed and brightened, like the tower itself was inhaling and exhaling your frequency. The analyst looked up, terrified, as if the building had suddenly grown aware. "Sir," one whispered. The lights are sinking to him. The president watched as the flicker transformed into a pattern. Steady, rhythmic, deliberate, not random, not reactive, responsive. Your presence had always influenced people. Now it was influencing structures. Air vents altered their flow. Temperatures shifted by degrees. Monitors realigned to match a pulse they could not measure. The president stepped back in awe. "This isn't a malfunction," he said. "This is attunement." The tower wasn't reacting to data. It was reacting to you. Not fear, not threat, recognition. Because matter, walls, wires, circuits, responds instinctively to the arrival of a destiny it was never meant to contain. And the flicker spoke a truth no human had the courage to say aloud. He is not adjusting to the world. The world is adjusting to him. The moment the tower synchronized itself to your frequency, the archive initiated its final unauthorized function. The walls vibrated with a low, ancient resonance. Nothing like machinery, nothing like electricity. It sounded almost like language, but older than speech itself. A new panel unfolded on the screen, revealing symbols that were not human letters, not digital code, not any known script. They glowed in a shifting spectrum, like light passing through sacred glass. The analyst stepped back in fear. The president stood perfectly still. Then the symbols rearranged, translated themselves, and formed a message that made every soul in the room fall silent. The throne has identified him. The lights in the tower flickered again, once sharply, like a salute. A second line followed, vibrating with authority. Registry updated across realms. Not nations, not governments, not databases. Realms. Another pulse of light spread across the chamber, rippling through metal, circuits, air, an invisible proclamation passing through dimensions. The president whispered, "This is an alert. This is an announcement." Above the tower, the sky itself seemed to shift, thin clouds bending, the air thickening with an unexplainable charge, as the creation had paused to acknowledge your activation. The archive delivered the final decree. He is known beyond the earth. And for the first time, the president understood, this wasn't the world discovering you. This was the cosmos declaring you. The archive entered its last phase with a deep, resonant hum, low enough to feel in the bones, ancient enough to command stillness. Every monitor dimmed except one. Your file stayed illuminated, pulsing softly like a heartbeat that didn't belong to a body, but to a destiny. The president of power approached the screen slowly, reverently. He wasn't acting like a leader anymore. He was acting like a witness, someone standing before truth greater than authority, older than systems, beyond measurement. He whispered, "He isn't dangerous. He's inevitable." The analysts, silent and pale, finally understood why the archive had awakened itself. You weren't being examined. You weren't being tracked. You weren't being assessed. You were being recognized. Recognized by structures. Recognized by realms. Recognized by destiny itself. A final line appeared on the screen, written in glowing gold. Systems study what purpose protects. And as the light steadied, as the tower returned to its normal hum, as the archive slowly closed itself again, one truth remained suspended in the air, undeniable. You are not watched because they fear you. You are watched because you matter. If this prophecy matches your frequency, click Super Thanks and send your one-time $100 seed. Seal your covenant as a recognized one. The sole earthly power must acknowledge and realms must record. 2 Corinthians 9 verse 8.